So in the first video, we are today discussing about the estimation of the organic compound. But in the first video, we have discussed about the qualitative estimation of the organic compound. We have not seen, you can go through that. But in the today concept, so in this video, we are discussing about the quantitative and estimation of the organic compound. So today's this video is the quantitative organic compound, quantitative estimation of organic compound. So in quantitative estimation, as you know, that is we have to know the quantity of the different elements present in the organic compound. Quantity means the percentage of the elements like that. So in the quantitative estimation, so we have to consider about the different quantity of the organic compound present in the organic compound. So first is the detection of by estimation of the uh, estimation like you we will write the estimation of the carbon and hydrogen. So in the organic compound, how much carbon and hydrogen is present? As I told in the last video, carbon and hydrogen these are the primary constituents of the organic compound. So that has to be estimated. So the carbon and hydrogen, let it be write in the X and Y. So when it is burned with the oxygen, that is the general formula of the burning of the oxygen, it is converted to X carbon dioxide plus Y by 2 H2. So this is the basic formula for any kind of hydrocarbon. When it is burned in the oxygen, it gives the carbon dioxide plus water. So this is the basic formula. So what will happen? The organic compound containing carbon and hydrogen. This is the organic compound. Let this mass of organic compound is W gram. W gram of organic compound we have taken. W gram of organic compound we have taken. So during the burning, during when it is burned with oxygen, carbon is getting converted to carbon dioxide and the hydrogen is getting converted to water. So whatever the carbon present in this organic compound containing carbon, hydrogen, other element may be there, but that will not happen to us. So the carbon converted to carbon dioxide and the hydrogen converted to water. So the 12 gram of carbon converted to 44 gram of carbon dioxide. So here the 2 gram of hydrogen converted to 18 gram of water. So here the W gram is the mass of organic compound. So the X gram of carbon dioxide is formed. So the 1 gram of carbon dioxide contain 12 by 44 gram of carbon. So if the X gram of carbon dioxide is formed, then how much carbon will be present in that carbon dioxide? So that will be 12 by 44 into X. So this is the mass of carbon that present in the organic compound, W gram of organic compound. That is important thing you have to remember. So we have taken the W gram of organic compound contain the 12 by 44 into X gram of carbon. But it is obtained in the form of carbon dioxide. What we have converted stoichiometrically, carbon dioxide to carbon. Here, so 18 gram of water form contain 2 gram of hydrogen. 1 gram of water will contain 2 by 18. Let it be the y gram of water is formed. So it will be 2 by 18 into y gram. So this is the mass of hydrogen that present in the organic compound. That means what you understand the W gram of organic compound contain 2 by 18 into y gram of hydrogen. So now with the calculation of the percentage of the elements in the organic compound, you can easily that can determine. So you can write down these things also. So we know the percentage of elements, the how the percentage of elements is calculated. The mass of the element by the mass of the compound. This is the way to determine the percentage of elements. This is the way to determine the percentage of elements. So the percentage of element, that is a very simple formula is there, that is in the 12th basic part we have completed. So that is the n into A by m into 100, where n is the number of atoms present for the element, A is the atomic mass and m is the molecular mass. So this is the formula to calculate. N is the number of atoms per molecules, A is the atomic mass and m is the molecular mass. So this way the percentage of element can be determined. If this way the percentage of element is determined, so what is the basic thing? The mass of the elements by the mass of the compound into 100. So this is not required for us, but this is the basic things you have to remember. So the percentage of elements, suppose we can determine the percentage of carbon here. So percentage of element is how much? It is the 12 by 44 into x. X is the mass of carbon dioxide formed. This is the mass of the carbon. This is the mass of the carbon. So the two hydrogen converted to water. So the mass of the organic compound, how much? It is the W is the mass of organic compound. Always it is a W. You remember, I will not repeat it again. W is the mass of organic compound. So this is the W is the mass of organic compound into 100. So that we can write the percentage of carbon is equal to 12 by 44 into X by W into 100. So this is the basic formula on basis of which we can determine all the calculation will be made on this. So the percentage of the carbon, that is equal to the 12 is the atomic mass of the element, 44 is the molecular mass of the compound formed, and this is the mass of the compound formed, and mass of the carbon dioxide, and W is the mass of the organic compound. So similarly, suppose we want to determine the percentage of hydrogen. So what is the mass of, what is the atomic mass of the elements? Atomic mass into number, that is the 2 by the water mass is 18 into y the mass of the water formed by W into 100. So this is the formula to calculate the percentage of hydrogen, and that is the for the percentage of this is not only atomic mass, this is the number of atom n into a, what I have told, the n into a. So this is the n into number of hydrogen, that is 2 in water, that is the atomic mass of water. So that's how it is calculated. So in general, so one by one we will discuss all things in this. Always the x is the mass of the elements formed. So now you see, so first is the carbon is getting converted to carbon dioxide. The percentage of carbon is the 12 by 44 into x by W into 100. So what is the x? X is the mass of carbon dioxide formed, and this is the molecular mass of carbon dioxide, 12 is the atomic mass of carbon dioxide. So similarly, the hydrogen is getting converted to water. The percentage of hydrogen, that is equal to 2 by 18 into x by W into 100. So here x is the mass of water formed. Mass is the mass of the water formed. So for the estimation of the halogen, we know the Lassine extract we have completed, that is the organic compound that is containing halogen. It is treated with the silver nitrate. So then it is converted to AgX precipitate. So in AgX precipitate, if the X is equal to chlorine, then AgCl will be precipitated out. If X is equal to bromine, then AgBr precipitated out to the Lassine extract here. So if the X is iodine, the AgI will be precipitated. It is the white precipitate. It is the dirty yellow precipitate, and it is soluble in ammonium hydroxide. It is the deep yellow precipitate, but it is insoluble. So from this, the percentage of chlorine, how can we determine? Now comes the part. The percentage of chlorine, that is equal to the chlorine mass is 35.5 atomic mass. The AgCl, the mass of the 143.5 is the atomic mass of AgCl into, so the X is the mass of AgCl. So here the chlorine is getting converted to AgCl. Chlorine is getting converted to AgCl by the W into 100. So this is the formula to calculate. This is the X is the mass of AgCl. So similarly to mass of the bromine, that is the bromine is 80 by the AgBr. AgBr mass, atomic mass is 188. So that is 188 into X by W into 100. What is the X? X is the mass of HBr. What is the percentage of iodine? Percentage of iodine, iodine is 127. Iodine atomic mass is 127 by the AgI mass. AgI atomic mass is 237. AgI atomic mass is 235. So 235 into X by W into 100. So this way the iodine is estimated and this way the AgBr are estimated. So this way the iodine is estimated, iodine atomic mass is 127 by the AgI mass, 235 is the atomic mass of AgI, AgBr is the atomic mass of AgBr. So the bromine atomic mass is 80 and iodine atomic mass is 127, chlorine atomic mass is 35.5. This way the molecular mass you can calculate. The silver atomic mass is 108. You can add it. 127 plus 108 that is 132 35, 80 plus 108 that is 188, 108 plus 35.5 that is 143.5. So this way the chlorine, bromine and iodine is estimated that way. So this way the halogen is estimated. That is the estimation of the halogen. This is not very difficult things. So now you see the estimation of sulfur. So what happens for the estimation of the sulfur? For estimation of the sulfur, what will happen? The first the sulfur is, you write down all these things. So for the estimation of the sulfur, the organic compound containing sulfur is heated with the nitric acid or the one nitric acid is a highly oxidizing agent and one more oxidizing agent that is the sodium peroxide. Sodium peroxide or nitric acid, if it is used, the sulfur present in the organic compound oxidizes to sulfuric acid. The sulfuric acid treated the means the sulfur converted to sulfate. So the organic compound or a W gram of organic compound that is heated with the nitric acid or sodium peroxide, it is converted to the sulfate form. It is converted to sulfate form. To the sulfate form, when the barium chloride is added, it is the white precipitate of barium sulfate is estimated. Why the precipitate is required? The precipitate can be separated, can be filtered, can be dried, and can be taken. The weight can be taken. So that is why always the precipitation is required. So the in case of that the carbon dioxide gas, there is no precipitation is possible. So that is why the carbon dioxide can be directly estimated. The mass can be determined. So here the white precipitate of barium sulfate is formed. The white precipitate of the barium sulfate is formed. So the barium sulfate is formed. White precipitate of barium sulfate is formed. So the percentage of sulfur is the atomic mass of sulfur in barium sulfate, one sulfur is there, so the 32 by 233. 233, that is the 233, that is the mass of the barium sulfate uh, into X by W into 100. What is X? X is the mass of barium sulfate and W is the mass of organic compound. This way the sulfur is estimated. This is the estimation of the sulfur. So the next is the estimation of the phosphorus. So in the phosphorus, what will happen? The organic compound containing phosphorus, this is the mass of organic compound W gram. It is heated with the nitric acid or the sodium peroxide. So that will be converted to phosphate. As I have explained in the qualitative analysis. So the first is the organic compound treated with nitric acid or sodium peroxide. It converted to phosphorus, converted to phosphate, uh, sodium phosphate, and the sodium phosphate treated with nitric acid is converted to phosphoric acid. And this phosphoric acid treated with the ammonium molybdate. The ammonium molybdate is converted to yellow ammonium phosphomolybdate. Ammonium phosphomolybdate, yellow color precipitate is formed. So from that also you can the mass of yellow ammonium phosphate molybdate calculated, and you can calculate the percentage of phosphorus. That is no problem. That is one method. The other method is the phosphate. That method I have explained in that video, that you can understand. But here it is converted to the phosphate. Here it is converted to phosphate. So this is phosphorus converted to phosphate. Then to the phosphate, the magnesium mixture is added. Here it is heated with magnesium mixture. So how many of you know the magnesium mixture? So the magnesium mixture is the magnesium chloride, ammonium chloride, and ammonia. Magnesium mixture is mixture of magnesium chloride plus ammonia. These three mixture that constitute the magnesium mixture. Sometimes in entrance examination also asked about the magnesium mixture. This thing we have to remove it. So when the magnesium mixture is added, so it is converted to magnesium ammonium phosphate. It is converted to magnesium ammonium phosphate. So this is the magnesium is +2, this is +1, and this is -3. So it is the magnesium ammonium phosphate is formed. So this is when it is heated, it is converted to magnesium pyrophosphate. It is converted to, when it is ignited, it is converted to magnesium pyrophosphate. So this magnesium pyrophosphate, from the magnesium pyrophosphate, the phosphorus can be estimated. There are two phosphorus atoms in there. So for the estimation of the this thing, so that is the percentage of phosphorus. Percentage of phosphorus means it will be the phosphorus atomic mass 31. That is 2 phosphorus unit is there. So that is 2 into 31 by the magnesium pyrophosphate Mgp2O4O7. That is the molecular mass is 2222. So that was the 233. It is 222. That remembering will be easier. So in the for sulfur estimation, barium sulfate, that is 233. It is 222. That will be easier. So the x is the mass of magnesium phosphate by the W into 100. W is the mass of organic compound. So this way the phosphorus estimation is possible. So these are things not very difficult, but main thing, the determination of the nitrogen is very important. So that we will discuss. This is the phosphorus estimation. This is the sulfur estimation. So let me remove the erase the sulfur. Then we will start the nitrogen. This is the very important, that is in NEET examination also. This estimation of the nitrogen is very important. In a NEET examination previously, every year there is one question must ask from the estimation. For the estimation of the nitrogen, there are two methods are there. One is the Dumas method. Two methods are there. One is the method that is called the Dumas method, and the other method is called the Geldas. One is the Dumas method, and another is the Geldas. This is the Geldas method. So first we will see the Dumas method. We will see the Dumas method. In Dumas method, what happens? The organic compound is oxidized by the cupric oxide. Cupric oxide is a very stable substance to oxidize, so it will not hamper to many other compounds. So the cupric oxide oxidation, the organic compound, let us see the organic compound contain carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. When it is heated with the cupric oxide, cupric oxide is balancing call it 2x plus y by 2 O2, y by 2 CO. So what will happen? It is converted to X carbon dioxide plus y by 2 H2O, because the carbon will oxidize to carbon dioxide, water oxidizes to hydrogen oxidizes to water, and the nitrogen will not oxidize, and it will remain as Z by 2 N2. Pure nitrogen is obtained here. Z by 2 N2 plus the 2x 2x plus y by 2 copper is also formed. So, the carbon dioxide can be removed by the absorbing in the potassium hydroxide solution. Water can be by cooling can be removed. The copper that is obtained that will be settled in the vessel, that will not create any problem for us. So the nitrogen gas can be collected on the surface of water. That is the moist nitrogen can be collected. So this nitrogen can be collected and the volume can be determined. Let this volume V1 is the volume of nitrogen obtained by this method. V1 is the volume of nitrogen obtained by this method. So the volume of nitrogen obtained by this method, that can first of all duty is you have to convert to the volume at NTP. So we know the combined gas equation P1 V1 by T1, that is equal to P2 V2 by the T2. So with this formula we can convert to the experimental volume to the NTP volume. So this is the NTP condition and this is the experimental condition. So the volume at NTP V2 is equal to P1 V1 by T1 into T2 by P2. This is the formula. So the under the NTP, the P1 is the experimental pressure, V1 is the experimental volume what is obtained here, and a T1 is the temperature, experimental temperature. T2 is the this is the P1 into V1 by T1. Experimental the NTP is 273 Kelvin, pressure is 760 millimeter. So whatever the pressure is given, whatever the volume it is given, that you put it here. So then you calculate the volume. So the volume V2 at NTP, let it be calculated as XML. So this is the volume at NTP calculated. So once you calculate the volume at NTP, so the NTP, once the volume is calculated NTP, then you can calculate the percentage of nitrogen. The here what will happen? The nitrogen is remain as nitrogen. Nothing changes is taken place. Here the nitrogen is remain as nitrogen. So no changes is taking place here. So so the percentage of nitrogen is equal to 28. That is the mass of nitrogen in the form of the nitrogen is 28 into the volume of nitrogen at NTP by the mass of organic compound into 100. But this given mass can be converted to this mass. This mass can be converted to volume. So the percentage of nitrogen that is equal to 28 by the 22400 ml. So it is ml converted. So the gram molecular mass is converted to gram molecular volume. You remember the 1 mole of gas is equivalent to the gram molecular mass or gram volume, molar volume. So the 28 gram is equivalent to 22.4 liter by 2240 milliliter, and it is the volume at NTP that is we have calculated is the XML, and this is the X by W into 100. So this way the percentage of nitrogen can be determined. Percentage of nitrogen can be determined. In NCERT also the problem number 12.21, the page number 357. So the question is given. So to estimate the percentage of nitrogen into mass method. So this 28 by 22400 into the X, the volume uh, at NTP for the volume at NTP it is given. The volume at NTP is 41.9. The volume at NTP is 41.9, and the mass of the organic compound that is given it is 0.3 gram. 0.3 gram into 100. So that is equal to 17.43 percentage of nitrogen is obtained here. That is very easy to calculate. That you can calculate very easily, no problem. So the NTP volume, if it is the NTP volume is not given, so that also you can calculate. If the NTP volume is not given, the NTP volume is not given, so you can also convert. Suppose the here the pressure, here the pressure is the volume of a nitrogen is given. Suppose one more question, it is the 50 ml is given. 50 ml of nitrogen is obtained experimentally, and the experimental pressure is 715, and the temperature is given. Temperature is given, that is the 300 Kelvin. So by putting all these things, this 50 ml, the X is comes out 41.9 ml. So from this is added here. So you can calculate. This is not very difficult. Dumas method. But you remember, in a in JEE main and a NEET examination, basically the volume at NTP will be given most of the times, because this thing will be give the lot of time for calculation. It will be more difficult. But in an advanced question, all these things, the question will be starting volume at experimental aqueous tension may be given to calculate the actual pressure, dry gas pressure. This P1 minus aqueous tension you have to calculate. That will be required in the JEE advanced question. But in the JEE main and JEE NEET examination, directly the volume at NTP will be given, the mass of organic compound will be given. So you can calculate it easily directly. So the volume at NTP and the mass of the organic compound given. So you can calculate it easily. That will be no difficult in a normal. In the board examination, that is possible. In the 11th board, that will be required. This is the Dumas method. So the next method is the Geldahl's method. That is the very important one. The next method is the Geldahl's method. Next we will. So in the Geldahl's method, so we can know, we can estimate the nitrogen. That is the very important one. You see, that is the Geldahl's method. So that is the Geldahl tube is there for the estimation. That is not required. So only thing is you have to know the calculation. So in Geldahl method, the organic compound is treated with the sulfuric acid first. Try to understand. In Geldahl method, the organic compound treated with sulfuric acid. So whatever the nitrogen present in the organic compound is converted to ammonia, and ammonia combined with sulfuric acid is converted to ammonium sulfate. Try to understand again. The organic compound, whatever the nitrogen is present, it is converted to ammonia. Ammonia combined with sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is acid, ammonia is base. It is converted to ammonium sulfate. So this ammonium sulfate is treated with sodium hydroxide. Step 1, there is sodium hydroxide. When it treated with reflux with sodium hydroxide, the sodium sulfate is formed and water is formed, the ammonia gas liberated. This liberated ammonia is react with certain known volume and molarity of the sulfuric acid. First, what we have treated, that is nothing, no volume and concentration is not known to us. In normally we have treated. But in second case, after the evolution of ammonia, it is treated with the known molarity and volume or the normality and the volume of sulfuric acid. So the whatever the ammonia is liberated, we do not know how much ammonia is liberated and how many nitrogen is present. So the known quantity of the M1 V1 of the sulfuric acid is titrated with the react with the ammonia. So ammonia, it is a base and a sulfuric acid is the acid. The neutralization titration will be there. So during the neutralization titration, it is converted to the ammonium sulfate. It is converted to ammonium sulfate. So we do not know how much ammonia is there, and that required amount of sulfuric acid we have not used. So the some remaining sulfuric acid will be there, unreacted sulfuric acid. The how much unreacted sulfuric acid is there? It is this solution mixture is titrated with the sodium hydroxide. So when it is titrated with the sodium hydroxide having the M2 and V2, so then the quantity of the molarity and volume of sodium hydroxide used from that, the how much ammonia is present in the organic compound can be estimated. That is the basic principle. Let me write. So see, let me remove all these things. So the organic compound, treated with the sulfuric acid, it is going to liberate ammonia. Whatever the nitrogen is present, it is converted to ammonia, and it is ammonia converted to ammonium sulfate. So this ammonium sulfate react with sodium hydroxide. So when it treated with sodium hydroxide, it is converted to sodium sulfate plus water plus it will liberate ammonia gas. Plus it will liberate ammonia gas. So the ammonia gas which is liberated, this ammonia, liberated ammonia, is react with sulfuric acid by the known volume of sulfuric acid. M1 is the molarity of sulfuric acid, B1 is the volume of sulfuric acid. During the titration, the ammonium sulfate is formed, and this sulfuric acid remain unreacted sulfuric acid. We do not know how much ammonia is there, so the unreacted sulfuric acid will be there. So this unreacted sulfuric acid titrated with the sodium hydroxide, which the molarity and volume is known to us, so it will be converted to sodium sulfate plus water. It is a neutralization titration. Acid react with base, produce salt and water. Here also the base react with acid, produce salt and water. Water is also formed, and water will not form in the first case. So this way. So you can understand this M1 is the molarity of the sulfuric acid, V1 is the volume of sulfuric acid, V1 is the volume of sulfuric acid. So the mass of ammonia. So the mass of ammonia, or the we can say the number of gram equivalent of ammonia. It is the W of ammonia by the equivalent mass of ammonia into 1000. So this is the number of gram equivalent of ammonia. This is the number of gram equivalent of ammonia. W of ammonia by equivalent mass of ammonia into 1000. So, so according to the back titration method, so the how much ammonia is produced? The ammonia is produced, the sulfuric acid, that is the M1 V1, and it is as per the balancing equation, the two sulfuric acid are divalent, so that's why the two will be used here. So this is equal to 2 into M1 V1 minus M2 V2. So uh, that is the unreacted ammonia. This is the used volume minus this is the unreacted volume. That is the mass of the sulfuric acid by number of gram equivalent sulfuric acid that is react with the ammonia. So that is equal to the W into NH3 by the equivalent mass of that is equal to the equivalent mass of ammonia, that is the 17 into 1000. So the mass of ammonia is 2 M1 V1 minus M2 V2 by the 1000 and into 17. So that is the mass of ammonia is estimated here. That we have understand. That is the mass of ammonia. That is the mass of ammonia is used here. Okay, up to this, have you clear? That is the mass of ammonia. So, as you understand the formula to determine the uh, to determine the, let me write here. M1 is the molarity of sulfuric acid used. M2 is the molarity of sodium hydroxide used. V1 is the volume of sulfuric acid used. V2 is the volume of sodium hydroxide used. So that will be required here. So here the nitrogen converted to ammonia. So the percentage of nitrogen, that is formula, it is 17, nitrogen is 14 by the 17 into mass of ammonia formed by the organic mass of the organic compound into 100. So this is the formula as I have used earlier. You can understand here. So here the 14 by 17, but what is the mass of ammonia here? It will be 2 M1 V1 minus M2 V2 by 1000 into 17 by the W into 100. So by using this formula, here the 17 will be cancelled, 1100 will be cancelled, only 10 will be there. So that will be the 10, it will be, that is 14 by 10, that will be equal to 1.4. 1.4 into 2 m1 v1 minus m2 v2 by the W. That is the percentage of nitrogen formula. That is the percentage of nitrogen formula. That is the Gelder's method. So you can see the M1 is the molarity of sulfuric acid and M2 is the molarity of sodium hydroxide, V1 is the volume of sulfuric acid, V2 is the volume of sodium hydroxide. So this way you can calculate you can estimate the percentage of nitrogen. Sometimes what happen, the whatever the sulfuric acid you have used, that is totally consumed and there is no unreacted sulfuric acid will be there. So if the unreacted sulfuric acid will be there, it needs the sodium hydroxide. If there is no unreacted, there is no sulfuric acid required. So if no unreacted sulfuric acid will be there, so there is no sodium hydroxide will be used. So this part will be not required. So then the percentage of nitrogen will be very easy, 1.4 into 2 into M1 V1 by the W. So you see, we have come to conclusion the how the formula will become so much easy here. If you have any doubt, you can post me on the that is my mobile number 95830 or you can mail me, that is my WhatsApp number also. So kcbarik@gmail.com. So that is my mail ID. You can write also on my mail ID. This is my WhatsApp number also. So in this WhatsApp number also you can post me if you have any doubt also. So we have come to, so you see the problem number NCERT problem number 12.22. So in that problem it is given the for the estimation of the nitrogen. Once you understand the formula, so what is given, sometimes you remember the normality may be given, normality is equal to molarity into x is the valency factor. If the normality is given, the x or n factor that you can use to normality, if it is given the 2m in place of 2m1 for the sulfuric acid, the valence factor is 2. So that we can write 1.4 into n1 into v1 by w. That will be more easier. Okay, so in this problem number 12.22 NCERT, example 12.22. So here you see is the question given the W 1.4 into 2 into the molarity, that is M1 is given is 1, volume is given, how much volume is used, that is the 10, the W is how much, that is equal to 0.5. Oh, how easy it will be. Just you put in the formula, that will comes around 56%. It will be very easy. So but the question size will be this much, big size question, because it general the apparatus is taken, it is so much, something is done, that. So it is big question. Don't confuse. You just find whatever is required in the question and put in the formula and get the answer. Nothing, no problem there. Once you understand the concept, you just put in the formula and get the answer. No problem will be there. So for this estimation, so that is the 1.4. Suppose some problem will be given, then you can solve it. That is no problem. If you have any problem, you can write to me. Thank you. I hope you have understand these things, and quantitative estimation of the organic compound, that is very important for the advanced examination and for also JEE Main and NEET for board examination for the 11th board exam. So that is also required. So that is the very basic things you have to remember. And I thank you for listening my video. So I request you to just subscribe my video, and for my online classes, you can join my online classes. You can write on the my WhatsApp number, and it is my mail ID. You can write on this, and you subscribe my channel. Thank you. Thank you.